Hey, everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of In the Studio with All Things Kiss. We are back. I'm Alan Dunn, your host, and here with my friend of 40 years and amazing co-host, David McNinch.
Hey everybody, thank you for being with us and let's rock and roll.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So, David has a little trivia first time ever news for us this week.
Yeah, this is our 21st episode
Hmm.
together, and this is the first time I don't believe we've had an answer to the trivia question. And
That's right.
yeah, so the question was, so when the whole Kiss entourage went over to Japan in 1977 on the plane, what was the in-flight movie? And that movie was the Shaggy DA.
The Shaggy DA. And the where you can
Like,
find that information is in Lydia Chris's book, Sealed with a Kiss.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just in the middle of rereading that again for the first time in a few years and came across that little tidbit of information. So I figured I would throw that into a trivia question.
Yeah, we had to go like super dork out on that one. And I think
Oh,
that was
yeah.
Fred McMurray.
Actually, yeah, I thought it was too, and then I looked it up. It's actually Dean Jones and Tim
That's
Conway and Suzanne Plachette.
okay. I dig that. Yeah,
So definitely a 70s lineup for sure.
yeah,
But yeah, who would have ever guessed Shaggy DA, right? And you see all the guys in Kiss watching that.
yeah. He's like, what is
Yeah, I
this?
can hear Ace. Hey, where's the dog?
Hey, yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. All
yeah,
right. Okay, so again, we will have another trivia question for next week. I promise it won't be quite as obscure this week.
yeah.
But anyway, so this week we are going to actually, you know what? I just remembered. I want to give a shout out before we get started. We have our some of our other sort of podcast friends that we watch their show. It's if you've seen it, it's on YouTube. It's called "Hey Man, Nice Kiss Shirt," and I just want to give a shout out to Chad and Brian. I actually met Chad when I was in Cadillac, Michigan for the 50th anniversary of their Kiss's visit last year. Excuse me, last year. And anyway, he gave us a really nice shout out a couple of weeks ago on his show, and I really appreciate that, man. That was awesome. So everybody, if you want to check them out, like I said, look for them on YouTube at Hey Man, Nice Kiss Shirt. And
Yeah, yeah,
thanks again, Chad and Brian. You guys are awesome.
yeah. I started tracking those dudes, after you kind of let me know what was going on, and everything, and like it's just cool to get a big part of the whole Kiss community. They're good
Yeah.
dudes, man. So y'all check out their show
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you get a
really good
chance.
guys, really good guys.
Yeah.
So, all right, so let's jump into the topic this week. We are actually you're gonna have to get on your toque and get your Tim Hortons coffee ready, and we're going up to Canada in the wintertime for the very first Kiss tour that they ever did in Canada, and this is
Yes.
in February of 1974. So, what is super significant about this, of course, is they did three shows in February of 74. And this was the first shows they ever played outside of the New York City area as a band. First time they ever left the city as a band to play gigs. So that's kind of the first significant moment that jumps out right there. And basically, so on or about February 4th, 3rd or 4th, I'm not sure what day they flew up, but the band left from JFK and flew to Toronto. The band and the road crew flew up to Toronto, and from there they flew across to Edmonton, which, if you're aware of the geography, is more on the western side of Canada.
Wow.
Now, keep in mind this is February in northern Canada, so you can imagine how bone-chillingly cold it must have been, right? So, all right, so I'm going to share my screen again, as always, and kind of bring up some photos and some maps, and
Awesome.
let's get rolling.
Let's do it.
All right, so that's where this is basically Edmonton, Alberta, right there, as you can see. So that's where they're going to play their very first gig outside of New York City, and that show would be on February 5th, 1974. So obviously they start over here in New York, they fly up to Toronto up here, and then fly over to Edmonton. And there are actually, amazingly, there are photos. I believe these are taken by Lydia Chris as well of them at the airport before they left on the first ever tour.
Wow.
Yeah, so check that out, right? I love that. I mean, this is like one of those photos, like you
Man,
have no idea what is about to happen,
yeah,
and the world has no idea what's about to hit them,
yeah, that's incredible.
right? And
Yeah.
then we've got a shot here of Gene and his girlfriend at the time. And then we've got, of course, Bill Aucoin, Joyce Biowitz, Peter and Paul.
Well, this is pretty exciting right here.
Yeah, this is crazy. Just thinking about what was really going on at that time. That
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were literally heading out, and the reason they got this gig is because they weren't originally on the list for these shows. This was actually going to be Mike Quattro. He was actually the scheduled headliner for these three Canadian dates, but
Yep.
as it turns out, long story short, he was demanding too much money. And so he dropped off the bill, and they needed somebody. So Bill swooped in when he heard about that they were looking for somebody, and got Kiss on the bill. And from what I understand, they were paid roughly about $500 for the
Yep.
tour, which is obviously is not that much money at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we got one more shot here of course, Bill and Paul getting ready to get on the plane there.
Ah, that's so cool, man.
Yeah, it's so cool. That almost looks like he has his makeup kit there.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
literally looks like
It looks like they're little makeup
the
boxes. Yeah,
cases
straight
they
up.
used to use. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. So that's just a few photos, like I said, from the airport before they left on their first ever tour. So let's jump into the actual venue itself. So they basically played at the University of Alberta at a place called the Dinwoody Lounge.
Yep.
So I'm going to pull that up. Okay. All right. So we're basically, you see where Edmonton is there. It's almost smack dab in the middle of Edmonton, right? And you can see there the Dinwoody Lounge. Now, as we zoom in here, you can see this is the campus is kind of all in here. As you see, University of Alberta is all right here, and the
Yeah.
Dinwiddie Lounge is there. Now, I've looked on Google Street Maps. I can't really get that close to it. I can't really get a sight line on the Dinwiddie Lounge itself because right here they just didn't take the cameras anywhere around that. I think where was it? I got somewhat. It's like the closest I could get was like looking through the trees and imagining where it was, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not even finding that right now, to be honest with you. Let me see. All right, let's see here. Okay. Yeah, this is the place I found it. Okay, so based on my calculations, looking at the map, right behind these pine trees is basically where the Dinwiddie Lounge was.
Mm.
Okay, so it's
That's a-
basically right through there. Like I said, that's about, unfortunately, I looked all over the place trying to find a way through on Google Maps, and it just wasn't happening. So you can kind of see a little bit right through there, the structure, but that's it through there.
yeah. It
All
definitely
right.
gives you some idea.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I do have some photos of the venue of what it looked like. Okay, so that's the venue, not as it necessarily appeared back in 1974, but I imagine it's largely unchanged. But they probably added this part that doesn't look like very 70s architectural styling at all. So I'm sure
Yeah.
that was probably added much more recently. But that's basically inside there's the Dinwiddie Lounge inside these glass windows right there. Now, as you can see, it's not a very big place, right? And you're about to see just how small it really is with an interior shot. So there's a shot kind of a stage area. Not sure if that's where Kiss played or not. That's a much more modern photo, of course, showing just a stage set up in that venue. And then this gives you more of a wide angle perspective, kind
Oh
of.
wow.
But you see how low the ceiling is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so obviously they played a few places like that back in the day. This is way before their arena days, obviously.
Man.
And so here's a shot. This is the only photo that I've seen from this show. I haven't seen any live photos at all from this show, but we do have this backstage photo. And I'm not sure, obviously, who these people are. I don't know if it's a promoter or if it's his like local radio DJs. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I just thought that was kind of a cool photo there from them, kind of behind the scenes before their first ever show on
It's
tour.
it's another one of those weird pictures of Peter's makeup to me.
Yep,
Like
Peter's.
his makeup is still kind of like,
Yeah, you kind of got those whiskers going way up in the
yeah.
air, up the side of his face, and then of course
This
Gene still
is
has that really early style with with no points above the nose,
yeah,
and
yeah.
just kind of almost more like Batwing style.
And Paul is back to the star
Yeah,
on
yeah,
this.
exactly. That's a great point. Thank you. Because last week's episode, we covered January 1974 in New York, where all three shows they played that month, he wore the bandit mask, the bandit makeup, and now he's obviously decided to go because from this point on, it's always the star. He never wore the bandit makeup again at this point. So yeah, so that's actually I'm glad you brought that up because that reminds me. So what everything we're covering this week basically falls in between what we did the last 2 weeks because 2 weeks ago we did February, starting when they went to LA for the showcase there in LA of late February 74. And then last week we did all of January 74, a little bit of December 73. And now this is kind of bookended in between that. So this is after they finished their shows in New York, left to do the Canadian tour, and then went from there down to LA and did what we covered 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, moving on from that photo. So some interesting little tidbits about this show. Uh, this show basically ended up with only 49 tickets sold.
Hmm.
And yeah, 49 tickets sold. Now, from what I've seen, there were actually 150 people there. From the reports I've read about this, there were 150 people in attendance. So all the basically the 100 people got in for free, pretty much.
Yeah.
Friends of the people who worked at the venue, comp tickets, things like that. So 150 people saw Kiss's first show outside of New York, and only 50 of them actually paid for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's basically kind of one of the tidbits about that. Now, so here's a quote from Paul Stanley about that show. He said, "We were a brand new band out of New York, and we had to start somewhere. I remember it was in a school lunchroom. There were signs up advertising The Kiss
Hmm.
with misspellings of our names. The show didn't even warrant a review in the local newspaper titled The Nugget. So didn't even get a review for the show and misspelled their names and just it was just, everything you would expect. And
Yeah.
also from what I remember Gene was saying about this show is that um, is that they put together like cafeteria tables, you know what I mean? Kind of like you would see in a cafeteria. They literally just put a bunch of tables together and they stood up on top of those to perform. And of
Uh,
course, the Kiss sign couldn't fly because you've seen how low the ceiling is. So the
yeah.
Kiss sign, what they said was only about 2 feet off the floor on the side, as they would do sometimes. They would just, as you see, eventually in low ceilinged venues, they would have to put the Kiss sign on the stage level. So they still actually utilized the Kiss sign. They just didn't actually fly it at this show.
Can you
So
believe
anyway,
that?
what's up?
Can you believe that?
No, that's just crazy, the
That's just
early stuff like that, and
yeah.
especially knowing how it would go, how it would eventually go. So,
Yeah.
okay, so that was the February 5th, 1974 show in Edmonton, Alberta. Now okay, hold on a second. Okay. Okay, so the next show is in Calgary, Alberta. So they're still in the same province. So let's go to Calgary.
Awesome. This is so cool.
All right, so here's Calgary. So we're going a little bit lower. So you see Edmonton, so they head south to Calgary, right? All right. So let me actually bring up the address for this place. Okay, so once again, they're playing a university, and this is South Alberta Tech is the name of the school they played here. So let me zoom in on that. Okay, so that's what of course, SAIT, South Alberta Institute of Technology. So that's it right there. Okay, and this is another one. I went all over Google Maps and I could not find the gymnasium. I
Yeah.
went I went up and down every street and everything where it would let you go and came up with absolutely nothing. So let me just share a couple of photos that I was able to come up with on the web for this to show you kind of what the place basically looks like. So there's kind of a
Oh wow.
shot of the outside of it, not necessarily the gymnasium, but just a shot of the outside of the institute there.
That's awesome.
And then here's an interior shot from the gymnasium. So that is actually what the inside of it looks like. Just like I said, could not find it on the map. It's not listed anywhere. Any sort of Google searches I did just kind of came up dry on
Yeah.
this. So yeah, so that's basically basically all I could come up with there. So, um, let's see. So, okay, so the day before or the day during, before the show, right, that afternoon. So
Yeah,
the band does their first ever radio interview, at least the first one that we're aware of, right?
yeah.
They went to a local CHED station, and they were interviewed by a guy named Jim McKeough. The interesting part about it is though they showed up in full makeup and costume, and even though it was just a radio interview, but they still showed up in makeup and costume. And I don't know if this next part is true from the story I've heard, but it could be just folklore. But legend has it, quote unquote, that the secretary at the desk, when they first walked in, was so freaked out she jumped up and screamed and ran out of the room. So.
I vaguely remember that story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So who knows about the truth of that? But anyway, so basically, this is the second show they did. Again, the very next night on February 6th. So I do have a lot of great looking, cool photos from this show. So let us jump into those. Now, the
Let's
first one I want
go.
to
Yeah,
share,
this is
likely,
so cool.
right? Yeah, these are great. Okay, so this.
Wow.
So here's a shot of the promoter. I do not have a name, unfortunately, but this is the promoter for the tour. And you can see the
Michael
old
Watts.
poster there, of course, Michael Quattro Jam Band. That's who was originally supposed to be doing the show. And obviously Kiss replaced him, but they still have the old posters right there. But
Yeah,
just kind of a snapshot of history right there,
yeah.
showing that that's the old poster that they were going to use. All right. So this next photo just blows me away because this really shows you kind of
Oh
like the
no.
yeah. So look at the way the sign is hung. So yeah, so basically, because this is obviously before the days where they had the frame around the letters, that kept
Yeah.
it in one position. So at this point, all the letters are free flowing and they're all strung up on this rafter, in the back individually, and they couldn't level out the S's because they're out of balance when you just hang them from the top. So yeah, it's just kind of interesting how absolutely crappy that looks. I mean, kudos to them for getting the sign up in the
I
air,
know. It
but
looks like the
wow,
pre-destroyer stage. Like to me, it's like
right.
everything is just in ruins, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just thought that was a really
That's amazing. I
really
tell you,
great
like in the
shot
early
there.
days, what is funny to me too is that like Peter's life is in imminent danger from time to time. It seems like, or they,
Oh,
whether it's the
absolutely.
drum riser or the kiss sign, like he can just get hit in the head with the S or whatever,
Absolutely.
because he's basically stuck back there.
Oh yeah, you can't get away from any of that stuff. So, and speaking of Peter too, that's another thing that because of logistical issues with these venues, they were not able to use the drum rising at all. So
Yep.
they weren't able. I don't know if that just means because they couldn't, get a forklift for some reason or whatever, but they said they were not able to do any drum risings on the three shows.
Wow.
So anyway, so yeah, there's that shot. Then we've got a cool Gene shot there.
Super cool.
I mean, that's just look at the makeup. I
Wow.
love that early primitive style makeup.
Yeah.
So crazy. Look at that shot though.
Yeah.
Yeah, another Gene there.
Man.
Yeah,
Oh,
early
it's
demon.
so cool.
Okay, oh, I love that one. That's a
Oh,
great one
that's
of
fantastic.
of
Yeah.
Ace and Paul
Yeah.
there. Such a cool photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that. All right.
I remember Pete saying like every show they did, it's like they were playing Madison Square Garden, and it's like they never change as
No,
far as
yeah, that was their
like
mentality. Yeah,
being a lunch
playing for
table or whatever.
right, playing on in a cafeteria for 50 people, but yeah, their attitude was they were at the Garden for 20,000 people.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool with all four of them. That's
Wow.
just what a cool shot, huh?
Yeah.
I love that one. Wow, that's so early, man. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
And this is, of course, back when and we'll get into this in another show, but back when Paul kind of hadn't really gotten his confidence up yet to be a front man. This is
Yeah.
back when Peter was still kind of taking a lot of the between song, raps and stuff like that. And you can just hear in some of those early bootlegs that Paul's just not quite hadn't quite figured it out
Yeah.
yet.
Yep. That's for sure.
Yeah. This was when I think was in a local newspaper. for one
Wow.
review for one of the for the show. But
I
that's
love
I
that
love
picture,
that
man.
shot,
That's one of
right?
my favorite. Yeah.
Just
Look,
that pose is so cool looking.
yeah.
And then the boot,
Man,
great
oh, look
shot
at
of the
that.
boots there. Yeah,
It's an unbelievable, man.
absolutely great. And then I love that one. That's just such a cool one, a shot of a crowd
Oh, that, yeah,
and
yeah.
that kind of a unique one. And it's kind of neat that the barrier they're using is just chairs turned on their side and made like a whole wall out of chairs.
I just noticed
It's
that.
kind of
Yeah.
the barrier between the fans and the stage. I thought that was kind
Yeah.
of interesting, right? But I just thought that was such a, I mean, just to be in that crowd, would just be unbelievable. The stories that
Yeah.
these people could tell, of what they saw that night, because they didn't
Yeah.
know what was hitting them at this point.
No, they look spellbound.
Yeah, they do. They're all just kind of standing there like, what are we watching?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So that's a few photos from that show. Now, an interesting thing sort of happened after this show from Calgary. So from Calgary, they're actually going to Winnipeg, Manitoba. So let me actually go ahead and bring up Winnipeg. All right. All right. So Winnipeg, Manitoba. So you see, they definitely traveled a little ways from here, right? So Calgary's over here. So they started in Edmonton up here, went down to Calgary, and then zipped over to Winnipeg, right?
Wow.
Now it's 2 days later. So the good news is they didn't have to make that trek overnight because, again, it was dead of winter in Canada and it's so freezing cold. There's actually a snowstorm going on that they were driving through this night. And that's the story I was going to talk about because basically the night that they left Calgary to get to Winnipeg, they were somewhere, I don't know where, but somewhere out here and on the road. And one of the crew members, I believe his name was Chris, actually drove missed the entrance to a gas station because they were running on empty, missed the entrance to a gas station and actually put them into a ditch. The
No.
truck, yeah, the truck with all their gear and everything. Now the band was, of course, in a station wagon behind them, right? They weren't
Yeah.
riding in the truck with the crew, but yeah, so it was so bad that they had to wait till the next morning. This is like overnight. This is the middle of the night. So they went into the gas station and it was like a truck stop thing, open 24 hours or whatever. So they went in there and they literally stayed there all night,
Uh,
overnight. And I do want to read. So there was, if any of you have read it for about, I don't know, 10 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago, the original road crew wrote their own book, right? It was J.R. Smalling, Peter Oricinto, Rick Monroe, and Mick Campese. They wrote a book about the early days on the road and all that kind of stuff. And so I
yeah.
want to read just a little blurb about that night. Um, okay, so he says, okay, yeah. So as Chris drove in, and this is Peter Oricinto, Moose, he goes by the name Moose
Yeah.
Oricinto. He's the one who's telling this story. So as Chris drove in, the truck did a slow roll to the right and sunk down about 4 feet deep into the snow, thus blocking my door from opening. Chris had driven us right into a ditch. My only way out of the cab was through the driver's side door or out the passenger window. I chose to start Starsky and Hutch it out through my window. We walked the 100 feet or so up to the station and asked if they had tow trucks on site to help pull us out of the ditch, but we were told no. We would have to wait till morning when the blizzard subsided. The band was right behind us in a station wagon. They didn't ditch like us since they followed the tire tracks to where you were supposed to enter, Chris.
Uh,
We hung out at this tiny truck stop through the wee hours of the morning. Ace and I played poker all night, and he kept on losing. He owed me so much money that I got his watch as payment. It was very funny. I gave it back to him though. After all, I did work for the guy, and he was such a bad poker player. I felt bad for him. I said the next morning, three tow trucks showed up to pull us out. Our truck was loaded with 12,000 pounds of gear, and we
Woo!
yeah, and we were deep in snow. it took all three trucks to get us out. Unfortunately, we closed down Trans Canada 1 for several hours while doing so and hacked off a few Canadian motorists in the process.
Wow.
Back on the road, our drive was far from over, but we made it to the show, which was on February 8th on time.
That was miserable, man. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I always liked that little story. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Just kind of a behind the scenes of what goes on, trying to get from show to show back in those early days like
Oh,
that.
that was the worst. Yeah. You
Yeah,
ever like a truck
absolutely.
stop overnight, like in a
Yeah,
blizzard? It's like,
absolutely.
oh man.
Okay, so like we said, we make it to Winnipeg, right? That's the next show. And so let's bring up the venue here. They're again playing a university. And they're playing a venue called Tashi Hall. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. It's
Yeah.
Tasche, but the E has the little accent symbol over the top of it. So I'm honestly not sure how that affects the pronunciation. So I don't know if it's Tash Hall, Tashi Hall. I don't know. But anyway, so Tashi Hall at the University of Manitoba. So let's plug that in. Okay. Now this one we can get to a Google Street View of it.
We,
All right. Tashi Hall is right here. Okay. So let me jump in here. All right. So there you see Tashi Hall,
man.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the venue they played. There's an auditorium inside here, and you can see up there auditorium, right?
Yeah.
And this building is apparently built in 1911. So it's not a very big venue. I think the capacity was about 700, they said for this venue. But I do
Okay.
have some interesting things to read about this one here momentarily.
Yeah.
All right, and then there are no photos from the show, unfortunately. No backstage photos, no live shots, no anything from this show.
Ah.
But I do have some like some interior shots just to kind of show you a little bit about what the venue looked like.
Tell you, I've gotten so spoiled on there being pictures of everything, so you
Right,
just take
yeah, later on there's pictures of everything. So
yeah.
there's kind of a shot of the interior of it taken from more modern times, of course.
Wow.
But it shows you kind of gives you an idea. It's kind of a walkway on the top part here, and then just a kind of a low ceiling downstairs part. And
Yeah.
then there's kind of a little
Ooh,
bit
wait.
better shot of what it would look like, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like it's almost like a running track or something like an old school running or walking track up here, and then just like a regular. But yeah, they said the capacity for this venue was roughly about 700, about
Okay.
700 for that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So this one does have some interesting stories about it. I was able to find a lot of reviews in some of my research I did through newspapers and stuff, and was able to find some interesting things. So here's I'm just going to read these verbatim. So we've got one from an online article that I found about this event. And again, I'm just reading it as it was written.
Yeah.
So
Go.
Winnipeggers had never experienced anything like them before. Half of the audience jeered and threw things at the stage. The other half loved it and screamed adorations. But no one really knew who or what they were. The concert wasn't advertised, and the tickets were free. It was February 8th, 1974. Feminists were protesting outside and inside Tashi Hall. Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Ace Frehley, and Peter Criss walked on stage to perform one of their first shows as Kiss. They were unknowns and unknowingly on the brink of enduring international stardom. Winnipeg and the University of Manitoba were now part of glam rock history. Frank Weipert promoted the concert, but he didn't run any advertisements because no one knew who Kiss was, so there was no point. The concert was part of the University of Manitoba's Festival of Life and Learning, a
Mm.
popular 5-day celebration featuring many concerts. I wanted to do something different. This is a quote from the organizer. I wanted to do something different for the festival because a lot of the acts were safe, traditional folk singers and jazz acts. I'd never heard Kiss's music before, but I booked him anyway. And so that's what he told to Ken Sharp, who was writing the amazing book, by the way, Nothing to Lose,
Yes.
the making of Kiss, 1972 through 1975. If you haven't read that, do yourself a
Ooh.
favor. That thing
Yeah.
is that thing is incredible. All right, so continuing on, the hall was packed. When the curtain flew up to reveal the stacks of amplifiers and Kiss walked out, everybody in the audience looked in absolute amazement. Alumnus Ron Romanowski was there, and he shared his recollections with the newspaper. I saw Kiss perform at Tashi Hall so long ago now that it seems only a wisp of memory until I think about the event for a while. Kiss was very loud, of course, and their
Yep.
makeup seemed outrageous at the time. I imagine that they were evil clowns from the circus armed with electric guitars as weapons. But another equally amazing event at the concert for me was what happened outside the doors before we got in. There were female protesters marching with placards decrying the sexist lyrics of the band and their depiction of women. So over the years, Kiss has become a top-selling band, really a big American business. And the
Hmm.
modern feminist movement, of which that protest was years ago was a part, has become a revolution which continues to alter the world. And I experienced the meeting of those two disparate social currents clashing so many years ago at Old Tashi Hall. It was Kiss's fourth show of their first tour, technically the third, and according to student and concert goer Bill Fry, Winnipeg greeted glam with the usual boorishness that Winnipeg is famous for. Comments made by concert goers. So here are more random comments from different people. This first comment is by a gentleman named Bob Mann. He said, "Well, I was there, and the reason that there was any heckling at all was that Kiss was just not very good.
Hmm.
Once the entertainment factor of the costumes, pyrotechnics, and general atmosphere wore off, they were just another so-so loud, boring rock band. I left after four songs."
Wow.
And I don't know how to pronounce this name of the opening band. It's Mood JGA. So I don't know if that's Mood Jaga Jaga. I don't know. Mood Jaja. I have no idea how you
Yeah.
pronounce that. But on the hand, that band was excellent, he says. Okay, so now this next comment is from Eddie Burkett, a fan who attended the show. My buddy and roommate Brent Alvarez went. He returned a bit early, but wasn't the best of it. But that wasn't the best of it. He came home swearing about the evil band, makeup, sound, lewdness, especially the bass player. Alas,
Yep.
he tried to intervene by running on stage to shout into Gene's mic about how nobody should listen to this crap.
No.
All the things Kiss went on to be famous for. They
No
kicked,
way.
yeah, they kicked him out and escorted him off the grounds by security.
Wow.
All
Yeah.
right. So another comment from someone who just goes by the name of Oliver in quotes. I was there and I recall this. To be fair to Kiss, most of the audience came to see again that mood jaga jaga
Got to go
band,
to or
whatever that
wherever
is.
it was. Yeah.
But the show was moved to Tashi Hall at the last minute. When we got there, there wasn't any warning about Kiss. Nobody had ever really heard of, and the pairing of the two bands was like night and day. That we were shocked by the raw volume and crudeness of Kiss. They weren't very good either. And I remember some people in the audience actually vomiting. That is my favorite quote in this whole
Let's
thing.
do it. Yeah.
People were actually in the audience were vomiting. Okay, that's a little extreme. All right, after all, we came to see Lenny Bro and the Mood Jaja, whatever. There was plenty of LSD being done that night, but Kiss and acid do not mix.
Goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, so yes. So apart from that, I've got one more article to read. So okay, so this is basically a follow-up article that I'm about to read from one person at a newspaper to another reporter. I don't know, or it might have been actually a fan writing to counteract what one reporter wrote about the show. And again, this is going to be one of those rare positive early Kiss reviews.
Please fire away.
Yes. Okay, so here it is.
While we're vomiting.
Dear Sir, this letter is a response to Bob Harrison's article about Friday night's concert with Kiss. I find it hard to believe that he could write such a naive and biased article. Does he really lack a knowledge and understanding of music that one is led to believe after reading his report? Here are some facts about the concert. People were left waiting outside as well as inside until 20 to 30 minutes before the concert started. Toes were frozen and tempers were hot. There was much pushing and shoving when the doors were opened. And there you see the spelling, that mood, jog, whatever.
Yeah.
Played an excellent set and deserve a round of applause for playing while people were still coming in to the hall. Kiss came on and played what they were supposed to, thundering loud rock and roll. Did anybody expect more? Their set was well played and tight. The reaction of the audience was atrocious. Obscenities were yelled towards the band, and at one point, beer cans were thrown at the drummer.
Oh
Kiss
man.
Kiss cut their set short and left after about an hour of playing. By then, about 30% of the audience had left. Can you really blame the group for leaving early after the childishness displayed by the audience? Maybe if Mr. Harrison and most of the audience had been exposed previously to bands such as the New York Dolls or even Black Oak, Arkansas, they would realize what this type of music is all about. Kiss perform no feats of fantastic musicianship. They only deliver what they feel the audience is there for, rock and roll, played the way they feel they should at volume 10, no less. I only hope that in subsequent concerts, Mr. Harrison and others will have a firm understanding of what is being laid down by the band before they make public such ill-defined criticism. So again, a rare sort of
Yeah.
positive review, and that one kind of makes sense. It's like, what did you expect?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're a hard rock band, that's what you're going to get. It's almost like people were offended for the fact that they played loud, heavy rock.
What a wild
So, which is
experience, though.
exactly what they said they were going to play.
Yeah.
So, so
That's
basically, yeah,
great.
after that show, that was the basically the wrap up of the Canadian tour, and from there they headed down to Los Angeles and started their 2 week tenure there, well, which culminated in their first national television appearance that we covered a couple of weeks
Yeah.
ago. So
Well,
so yeah.
that whole little experience, that's still a couple days before the first record comes out, right?
Actually, yeah, that's a great point. Yep, you're right because it came out on the 8th, and that was actually the same day as the last show we just talked about, the one at Tashi Hall at the
Yeah.
University of Manitoba. So that was
Yeah.
actually the same day that their album was released.
And
Yeah.
like we don't have to go into it or anything, but it's like as far as it was the feminist that people being offended by the lyrics, how would they know ahead of
That
time?
that's the first thing I thought of too when I was reading. I was like, how would they even know if
Yeah.
Kiss hasn't even released their album yet?
Yeah. So
They how would yeah. So who knows if that part was manufactured? I mean,
yeah.
that's the one thing about history. It's you just don't know sometimes unless you're there to see it for
Yeah.
yourself. But
Wow.
yeah, that's good you picked up on that because I did too. I was like, yeah, that's how would they even know what they were talking about? Nobody ever heard of this band before.
That
So.
blows my mind though, the whole thing about the truck running off in the ditch, though. That's
Yeah,
like that's some
always
scary
thought that was
stuff.
an interesting story. Yeah,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
much so. But yeah, all right. So let's jump into our usual
Uh,
on the fly rankings. It's time for that. As usual, I pull a topic out of the cup and we rank the top three without any preparation. Okay. Oh, well, we're keeping the theme going. I promise I've got other topics in here. But
yeah.
the last 2 weeks we've done lose three songs off Rock and Roll Over, lose three songs off Dress to Kill. Now we got lose three songs off Dynasty.
Okay. All right.
So this one might be a little easier to do.
Well, yeah, yeah. My goodness. I guess I have to go X-Ray Eyes, even though I love that song. And Gene doesn't have a lot of songs on that record. Um, and then I wasn't a huge I Was Made for Loving You fan. I know that's their biggest hit or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, I know. No, it
But
is fair though. It's fair. I mean, this is just your opinion.
yeah, and I'm gonna go 2000 Man.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
What
So,
you got?
well, there's honestly, I've already got my three. So two songs in particular, I've honestly just never been a big fan of. I don't hate these songs. They're by far my least favorites on this album. And that is, and I don't know why there's so much love for this song. I really don't. And I'm sure I'm going to catch some crap for this, but Charisma
Oh yeah,
just
yeah,
not that was just never done much for me. See to me, I feel like X-Ray Eyes gets a lot of hate, and yet Charisma is like lauded as this great song. And to me, it should be completely opposite. I freaking
yeah.
love X-Ray Eyes. Whereas Charisma is kind of like, never really did much for me.
I get that.
Okay, so second one would be, yeah, I'll agree with you on 2000 Man.
Yeah,
I just feel, I mean, it's a good song. Again, it's a good remake. Of a Stones song. It's just, I don't know. It's just never been up on the list for me, as far as ace
Yeah,
tens and stuff like that. So, all right. And then my third one is going to be, again, this is one it just never clicked with. Again, I don't
don't
hate
say
it. It's
it.
just, what's that?
Don't say it.
Dirty Living.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. Are you crazy? Are you?
No, give me Baby Driver and
Oh,
give me
dude.
Hooligan. Give me those
Okay.
all day before I'll listen to Dirty Living.
Yeah, I got a soft spot for that song, but I like I said,
And,
you
and
got to
again,
cut songs and
I
yeah.
it's not a song I skip. I'll listen to it. By no means is it a song I skip. But
Yeah.
anyway, just my opinion on that. So
Okay. Yeah.
so yeah, so tell us down in the comments, guys, what you would say about what three songs you would lose off of Dynasty. So
Yeah. We've been loving reading the picks that everyone has
oh, those
had,
are amazing. Yeah, those are
comments and
so I
everything.
always love kind of seeing where
Yeah.
everybody's coming from on what they like and dislike on that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
all right. So we're gonna wrap up with a little trivia.
What we're going to do this week is we're going to give you an address that was very significant in KISStory. And then when you figure out what it is, give us your answer in the comments on this upcoming show and everything. And so
Yep.
the address is 321 West 44th Street in New York City.
Yep.
That is 321 West 44th Street in New York City. And some amazing stuff happened there for sure.
Absolutely it did. So yeah, tell us what you think used to stand in that spot and why is it famous in history? And if you're the first one to get it right, we will give you a shout out on next week's show. But hey, it's been fun as always. As always, we appreciate you checking us out, and we love the comments. Please keep the comments and all that coming because we love the back and forth with you guys. And we look forward to doing it again next week. And again, just keep sharing the videos with other Kiss fans. Let us know we're here. And the more the merrier.
Yeah,
We're loving all the interaction right now. So
that's so fun.
absolutely,
Thank you,
it's
my
been a
brother.
blast. Yeah, no, thank you, man.
Yeah,
It's been
yeah.
amazing. You guys take care. Have a great week. Be safe, and we will see you next week.
Have a good weekend, buddy.